Hello, Nathaniel Gavronsky here, and I'm in Iowa City in Johnson County, one of the hardest hit areas of the coronavirus here in the state of Iowa. Now, I have been observing the social distance rules and staying 6 feet apart from any person I would have come in contact with. Look, in Iowa City, in Johnson County so far, the places I've been to, everyone is adhering to this rule. Now, I had to come up here because I had to deliver some important supplies and information to someone, so I'm here on actually a very important work, or I would have stayed home. But since I'm here, I want to go ahead and update you and kind of give you a look at and description of what's going on here in Johnson County in Iowa City, a place I've called home for many, many years. A couple of updates. The Paycheck Protection Program is now in effect for companies that have less than 500 employees. This also includes franchisee owners who have, like McDonald's and Burger King and different franchises of larger corporations. The way that's structured is that they themselves would have less than 500 employees. They could also apply. Now, this is also made available to people who are self-employed and contractors. So the best way to get more information on this is to go to the Small Business Association's website, which is sba.gov, and click funding to get all the information about the program. There's $349 billion in this program, and Donald Trump is actually going to be seeking more money for it. There's a $10 million max per company, and how it works is there's a 2% interest rate on it. However, if you hire back your employees and you make payroll, and or if you expand and you hire people, it becomes a grant. And that's the whole point of the program, is to keep people on payroll so that the unemployment system is not overrun by so many people applying for unemployment. Now, some information about the virus and what other countries and we have discovered and have researched. According to Senator Cassidy, who's also a doctor from Louisiana, and researching what has happened in Germany, after you are cleared the virus for 28 days with no symptoms, you are basically immune and cured from the virus. And there's a 98% recovery rate globally. So that's actually a really good sign that 98% of the population who gets it will survive. And overwhelming majority of them don't feel any symptoms whatsoever. They don't even know that they're sick. A slight temperature maybe, but a lot of people who have it aren't ever experiencing anything, and so that's why they're pushing the social distancing rules and the 6 feet apart distance, and to keep, this is how it's going to keep us from all getting the people who are vulnerable, the pre-existing conditions, diabetes, hypertension, the elderly, from catching it. The good news is that once we reach 80 to 85% immunity, we become herd immunity, which means that even those who don't have the antibodies in their body to cover it, the chances of them actually catching the illness is very, very low. Now, I'm going to put in the description of this video the phone numbers you can reach and the website you can reach to get up-to-date current information, but I will kind of give it to you here. Basically, if you're in Iowa, by dialing 211, you can get to an operator there, and the direct phone number for them is 1-800-244-7431. Now, the Iowa website to get information, up-to-date information, is idph.iowa, spelled out, .gov, /emerging/health/issues/novel coronavirus, and that'll get you to the website that gives you up-to-date information on what's going on here in Iowa. Now, people have also been talking about Kim Reynolds and the job she's doing, and compared to the other states. Don't forget, there's Arkansas, Iowa, Nebraska, South Dakota, and North Dakota are the states that have not officially ordered shelter in place. Now, they have ordered a lot of other things, and I, who have traveled across the country, again, for important work, delivering supplies and doing things that are very important in serving my family, I have traveled through many states, including Indiana, Ohio, and Pennsylvania, who had a more strict guidelines for closing down businesses, and did eventually reopen some of the gas stations and travel centers, because you have to have services for the essential people, truck drivers, healthcare workers, who use the interstate system to get to where they're going. Also, the states like New York and California are asking people from across the country to come to New York and California to give them aid. They wouldn't be able to get there if certain things were open, like gas stations, like automotive repair shops, because ambulance break down. They need people's cars break down. Not everyone has access to public transit, and maybe right now we don't want them to. So we got to have certain businesses open to make sure that these essential people are able to get to where they need to go. That includes the grocery store workers. You have to be able to get gas, and some of these people still commute 30, 45 minutes a day like they would normally, and so they need to be able to get a hold of some of these, services like food, gas, automotive repair. But if you really look at it, the governor of Iowa has closed down schools. She ordered everyone 6 feet apart. No gatherings more than 10 people. Theaters are closed. Tattoo parlors are closed. All clothing and mostly retail stores are closed. Salons are closed. All bars and restaurants are only allowed to do carry out and drive through. She wants you to stay home when you're sick. Now, I know there's a lot of companies here in Iowa that haven't given their employees the ability or permission to work from home. And it's because a lot of times you might not realize it, but some of these businesses are quite essential. There are factories and people here in Iowa that are manufacturing components that are used in the manufacturing of respirators. We can't close those places down. We have to make sure that our industries are still working that can. And even though a lot of counties are affected here in Iowa, most of them only have 1, 2, or 3 cases, and they've been isolated. Yes, there's potential for further spread. However, if you maintain the social distancing, the ability and chances of you catching the virus are very slim, and this has been reported over and over and over again. Another really important thing about the CDC guidelines is they give you permission to have the mask and the gloves. They say they advise it, which means that your employer is going to have a much harder time telling you no. So it's more of a peace of mind thing. And when Donald Trump says that he's not planning on wearing it, is that he feels comfortable not wearing them. And before all this, before all the pressure, the CDC also advised, along with all the leading doctors and scientists, that wearing the mask doesn't really actually help you, or it protects other people if you're already sick or ill. So, it's kind of a peace of mind thing to say that they advise it. So your employer is going to have a hard time telling you that you can't wear a mask or gloves. Now, there's a lot of ways to make masks if you can't have them. They don't advise you to actually use the medical grade N95 mask, but what they have advised is basically 2 pieces of cotton, like an old t-shirt, and then as a filter, like paper towels, which are actually still quite abundant around the country, in between, and then you can either staple that together, use rubber bands or glue or whatever, and then you can actually tie it around even like a bandana around your mouth. And make sure your mouth and nose are both covered. However, make sure you sanitize your hands before you manufacture your mask and put it on, because if you don't, you just contaminate the mask and it's nothing to do you any good. FEMA also announced today that they are going to be sending $44 million to the state of Iowa to reimburse the state on costs related to COVID-19. This is actually 75% of the total cost because there is a share, so Iowa will be on the hook for 25% of the cost. But that's what states are actually already set up to do. States are responsible to take care of a lot of their own affairs. The federal government steps in as a stop loss. That's how it has always been. That's how FEMA's always worked throughout the history of natural disasters. You can look back into the hurricanes that hit Long Island a century ago, how the government and states done this. Now, there is a lot of question about what the federal government should be doing versus states. Here's a wake-up call for a lot of states, is that we need to be prepared as states and as individual citizens and civilians to take care of this, because it is the states who are the front lines of this. And it's very hard to order all of the ventilators. Let's say the government ordered all the ventilators from Iowa to New York, then how are we supposed to help people in Iowa? So this is kind of a wake-up call, and they are asking states to do more to help with this problem that we're having, but it's also a great learning experience. Some states are going to have to do a better job. I think Iowa's done a really great job, and I'm very proud to be a part of this state. But when it comes to the stay-at-home order, you have to look at what has been ordered compared to the states that have the shelter in place. There's really little difference into what has been ordered in Iowa and what's been ordered in other states. So I do believe that Governor Reynolds is doing the right thing here, and I believe that we should trust in our governor. She's doing a great job into making sure that everyone gets the proper services that they need. And here's the thing, you have to remember there's more than just the medical aspect of this. You think of the economy as a battery. Okay, now if your battery's dead but it still turns on the lights, it's much easier to jump it. Now if it's completely dead, you can't even get the lights on your car because the battery's so dead, it's a lot harder to jump and it takes a little bit more effort. We have to be careful and mindful of this because right now the national unemployment rate is 4.4%. They believe through the St. Louis Federal Reserve that if we are not careful and we don't mind the economy, that we could be 32% unemployment rate, which is 47 million people. And I don't need to remind you that as the unemployment rate jumps, so does the suicide rate. They are a concurrent ratio, and we need to be mindful of that when we want to order everyone to stay in place, because it has a mental health aspect to it that we really need to address. And the governor of Iowa, the governor of all other states have to take this into consideration when they're going to be making these orders. So calling it a shelter in place, or just doing what Iowa has done, they've basically done the same thing, except for you're not restricting people's movements so much that it causes other problems. And in Iowa, there has been citations that are for misdemeanors for people that have violated the no more than 10 people rule. So she has effectively ordered the same orders. She's just giving people the peace of mind to not be cabin fevered or to have other problems. Please, I need you to understand this. The governor of Iowa and her team are doing the right thing. From the mental health aspect of it, other states have also realized that the shelter in place has actually been counterproductive in certain areas. Governor Andrew Cuomo of New York, which I'm a part-time resident of, has also admitted that this completely shutting down the state in some cases, in some instances, was not the best course of action, especially for areas that are not as highly effective, because you shut down the economy that drastically, getting it back up and running again might prove to be difficult. Now, I really want you to think about all of this stuff. We can really look into what's going on in the greater sense of things. If you look at the website, which I will put in the description, we also have to be mindful of the economy. And we have to make sure that what happens afterwards isn't more hindering and detrimental to what's going on with the actual virus itself. There have been several documentaries about pandemics and viral outbreaks that happened 6 or 7 years ago, and they talk about this exact same thing. History Channel, National Geographic, they've all done it. You can probably Google them and look them up. They talk about the problem of trying to shut down the economy so much that we get it back going. The checks going out to people, they will be giving them out to people on Social Security and SSDI, SSI, and retirement. They haven't quite figured out the exact amount yet. That's been kind of going back and forth from the resources I have found, but they are going to be giving checks out to people on Social Security, regardless of how you receive the retirement, SSDI or SSI. These are not loans. They are basically money to give to you to help stimulate the economy. Everyone else, if you've paid your taxes in the last cycle and you haven't closed down your bank account, they will be doing direct deposit. Now, I have confirmed this with multiple Senate's office and multiple members of the House, that this is how it works. I have also read that huge bill. So, and if they can't get it to you through the direct deposit because you closed your bank account, they're going to try to mail you a check. If that check for some reason can't get to your address, they are the backup plan. The backup plan is to give you a tax credit on future tax filings. So it's going to be very hard not to accept this money. And I do know some people who don't want it. I talk about how they don't want the money. As far as the infections here in Iowa today is the 4th of April. There's 786 total confirmed cases. However, there are 9,454 negative cases. And as of yesterday at 2:30 p.m. in the afternoon, there are 2,500 available test kits in the state of Iowa to use to test if someone has coronavirus or not. If you think that you might need or test, the 211 number, by calling that, will give you instructions on what to do. But to be honest with you, what they're going to tell you to do until you're able to figure out the testing is to shelter, kind of keep self-isolated. That's what they're going to, even if you are found to have a positive case, you're still going to be told to self-isolate. Christopher Cuomo, the governor of New York's brother, is positive for the coronavirus, and his only respite is to self-isolate, which he's doing in his basement. That's what they're doing. Now, there are medications they're going to start testing on people, but they haven't gotten them all out to everywhere yet, but they are moving fast. So I want you to understand this is a scary time, but that we actually have the best people in the state and the federal level, regardless of what you think about them, of the politics of it. They're doing the best job that we could possibly ask for. Yes, the United States is going to have a lot of cases, but we're also one of the largest countries population-wise in the world. If we didn't have a lot of cases, then we would be misreporting our numbers. The fact that our cases are so high tells me that we're actually reporting it correctly, unlike other countries like China. This is the China virus. It is their fault. They could have prevented it being this bad if they would have acted correctly. As far as the president ordering the Defense Production Act on 3M, I think it's the right call. A lot of supplies that we have issued in around the country already, a lot of it has decomposed because it's made out of paper. It doesn't last forever. So we're gonna have to make some new stuff. Yes, we need to supply other countries. We are Americans. We have done that forever. So yes, supplies will reach to Canada, will reach Italy, will reach other countries. But we're trying to get it all out kind of evenly as fast as we can. People are doing the best job and they're working as fast as they can. I know everyone wants to make this a political issue, but it's not. Democrat, Republican, the governors, almost all of them are doing a really great job. There's only like 2 governors that really aren't doing a very good job. And the reason why they're cracking down on Trump is that they know that they're not doing a very good job because they didn't manage their states very well. So I'm blessed to be living in the state of Iowa. I'm actually very thankful for Governor Cuomo and his team in New York, for my family and friends out there. Democratic governor, Republican governor, I'm very proud of them both, and I'm glad to call them both friends. I've met and talked with both of them multiple times, so I'm really greatly appreciative of both governors and the efforts the states are doing. I know it's tough to be the governor of these states right now, and I'm very, very proud of both of you. But I'm especially proud of Kim Reynolds because I think that she's doing an absolutely fantastic job balancing what the medical requirements, the mental health requirements, and the economic requirements that this pandemic, this virus is costing Iowa. I believe that we're going to come through this much stronger. I believe we're going to have a lot of pent-up demand, and I believe our economy is going to skyrocket once this is over. Thank you everyone for your time. I will put the information for the websites and the phone numbers in the description of this video. Again, I wish each and every single one of you to stay healthy, to stay wealthy, and to stay wise. And as always, stay classy, Iowa.